Now, one writing that's really resonated with me is a sermon from St. John Henry Newman. And the title of the sermon is The Ventures of Faith. And in that sermon, Newman is talking about the risk that the apostles had to take to follow Jesus, the risk that they took in order to become disciples. And he says that a fundamental part of the Christian life is this ability to take the venture of faith, to risk something for the sake of the gospel. You know, he says this is a part of what faith is, where faith is trust in things that are as yet unseen. And Newman goes further in this because he says this is something that kind of we intuitively know to be true. It's easy to understand in the abstract, but he says it's harder when we have to apply it to ourselves, when we have to ask ourselves the question, what are the risks that I've taken for the sake of the gospel? What's the venture of faith that's been a part of my own life? And that can really be a challenging thing. You know, for me, it's always been a little bit of a examination of conscience to think about what risks have I taken for the sake of the gospel. Newman, he says another way we might put that question is to ask ourselves that if the promises of Jesus weren't kept, you know, if the faith turned out to not be true, what does that cost us? What have I lost out on if that's not actually true? And, you know, if I answer that question and I say that the answer is not that much, then how deep has my faith really gone? So, you know, what have we risked for the faith? Now, I propose that it's not some sort of way where we earn salvation, that I need to risk something in order for God's mercy or God's grace to enter into my life. It's not, this is what I do to earn God's love. No, God's love is freely offered to all of us. I think that there's a deeper truth to this question, and it's the fact that I need to risk something because it's only when I truly trust God that I experience Him as trustworthy. It's only when I truly rely on God that I get to know that I can rely on Him. You know, it's one thing to have faith in theory, but it's another thing to experience God as faithful to His promises. It's another thing to experience the fact that, oh yeah, God truly is trustworthy. And that's where I think this risk becomes really pertinent, right? Is because when we take that risk, we find out that God sustains us. We find out that God supports us. We find out that He's faithful to His promises. And so this is an invitation. It's something that I think I wrestle with often and I think about often is, you know, have I really taken the plunge of faith? Have I ventured anything in my Catholic faith? And I think that that's a question we can all reflect on, we can all think about, and we can all pray the prayer, Lord, by your grace, help me to trust you more. By your grace, help me to lean on you more. And Lord, show me that you're reliable.